Selenophile. Have you ever heard this word before? It sounds like the name of a rare condition, or maybe even a secret society. But what if I told you it might describe you? Do you find yourself stopping in the middle of a busy night just to look at the moon? Have you ever filled your gallery with countless moon photos, even though they all seem almost identical? And somehow, every time the moon appears, it feels like you're seeing it for the very first time. If you smiled at any of those questions, people often use the term selenophile for someone who has a deep love or fascination for the moon. But here's the real mystery. Why would a silent rock floating hundreds of thousands of kilometers away make someone feel calm, nostalgic, or even understood? Psychologists suggest that moments of awe, those times when we encounter something vast and beautiful, can quiet the constant noise in our minds. The moon doesn't ask for attention, yet it effortlessly captures it. Maybe that's why poets write about it, photographers chase it, and dreamers wait for it to rise. And let's be honest, if your phone has more moon pictures than selfies, you're definitely making your storage work overtime. So perhaps being a selenophile isn't about loving the moon itself. Maybe it's about falling in love with the peace, wonder, and silence it brings. So, are you a selenophile? Tell me in the comments, and if not, which part of nature makes you stop and stare? Elorophile. It sounds like the name of a rare creature, but what if it's actually describing you? Have you ever visited someone's house and greeted the cat before the people? Do you somehow end up talking to every cat you see, even though they usually pretend they're too important to notice you? If that made you smile, you might be what people often call an elorophile, someone who has a deep love for cats. But why do these tiny, fluffy creatures have such a loyal fan club? Unlike dogs, cats don't always demand your attention. In fact, they often act like you should be grateful they're in the same room. And somehow, that only makes people love them more. Psychologists believe part of their charm comes from their independence and unpredictable behavior. Every slow blink, gentle purr, or unexpected cuddle feels like you've earned their trust rather than being given it automatically. That's what makes those little moments so rewarding. Cats also have a calming effect on many people, and simply petting one can help some people feel more relaxed after a stressful day. Of course, every cat owner knows the real boss of the house isn't the human. You're just the unpaid employee who opens doors, serves food exactly on time, and apologizes for sitting in the cat's favorite chair. Maybe being an elorophile isn't just about loving cats. Maybe it's about appreciating a creature that teaches us affection. Doesn't always have to be loud to be real. So tell me, if a random cat walked up to you right now, would you stop to pet it? And do you think you're an elorophile? Let me know in the comments. Bibliophile. Have you ever walked into a bookstore just to have a look, and somehow walked out carrying 3 new books you definitely didn't plan to buy? Or maybe you've promised yourself just one more chapter, only to realize the sun is coming up. If that sounds familiar, you might be what people often call a bibliophile, someone with a deep love for books. But here's the fascinating part. Why can a pile of paper and ink make someone laugh, cry, travel across centuries, or feel connected to people they've never met? The answer isn't just in the stories, it's in what they do to our minds. Reading allows us to imagine worlds, understand different perspectives, and even experience emotions we'd never encounter in our everyday lives. Psychologists have found that becoming absorbed in a story can help reduce stress and strengthen empathy, making us feel as though we're living alongside the characters rather than simply reading about them. Maybe that's why the smell of a new book feels exciting, why an old bookmark can bring back memories, or why finishing a great novel sometimes feels like saying goodbye to a close friend. And let's be honest, -1 bibliophile has confidently said, "I don't need any more books," while secretly searching for their next one just 5 minutes later. Maybe being a bibliophile isn't simply about collecting books. Maybe it's about collecting lives, adventures, and memories one page at a time. Now I'm curious, what's the one book you wish you could read again for the very first time? And do you think you're a bibliophile? Tell me in the comments. Selenophile. Ever wondered why some people can't walk past a dog without smiling? Or why they somehow remember every dog's name, but forget its owners 5 minutes later? If that sounds a little too familiar, you might be what people often call a selenophile, someone with a deep love for dogs. But what makes dogs so special? Unlike almost any other animal, dogs have an incredible ability to connect with humans. They don't care what car you drive, how many followers you have, or whether you've had a good day. They're just excited that you came home. Psychologists believe this unconditional affection strengthens the bond between people and dogs, and spending time with them can help many people feel less stressed and more emotionally supported. Maybe that's why a dog's wagging tail can instantly brighten a bad day, or why so many people consider their dog part of the family rather than just a pet. And let's be honest, every dog lover has said, "I'm just going to pet this dog for a second," only to spend the next 10 minutes asking, "Who's a good boy?" in a voice they'd never use with another human. Maybe being a cinephile isn't simply about loving dogs. Maybe it's about loving a friendship built on trust, loyalty, and joy that asks for so little in return. Now I'm curious, if you could spend a whole day with any dog in the world, what breed would you choose? And do you think you're a cinephile? Tell me in the comments. Nyctophile. Strange word, isn't it? But what if this one word explains why your day doesn't truly begin until the sun goes down? While most people count the hours until morning, you secretly wait for the night. The streets become quieter, the air feels cooler, and somehow the world finally stops shouting. That's when your mind feels free. You think more clearly, your creativity comes alive, and even the smallest things like the sound of crickets or the glow of streetlights feel strangely comforting. If you've ever been told, "Why are you still awake?" more times than you can count, don't worry. Your relationship with the night isn't necessarily unusual. People often use the term nyctophile to describe someone who has a deep love for the night. And no, it doesn't automatically mean you're antisocial or a vampire, although your sleep schedule might make people wonder. Psychologists suggest that many people find nighttime calming because there are fewer distractions, less noise, and more opportunities for quiet reflection. Without the constant rush of the day, the brain can relax, wander, and think more deeply. That's one reason many writers, artists, musicians, and dreamers say their best ideas arrive long after sunset. Maybe being a nyctophile isn't about escaping the daylight. Maybe it's about finding peace in a world that finally slows down after dark. So tell me, if you had to choose only one forever, would you choose the peaceful night or the bright daytime? And do you think you might be a nyctophile? Let me know in the comments. Hodophile. Have you ever packed your bags before you've even decided where you're going, or caught yourself staring out of a car or train window, thinking that the journey somehow feels better than the destination? If that sounds like you, you might be what people often call a hodophile, someone with a deep love for travel. But here's the real question. Why do some people feel restless staying in one place, while others are perfectly happy at home? For many hodophiles, traveling isn't just about visiting famous landmarks or taking the perfect photo. It's about discovering new places, meeting different people, trying unfamiliar foods, and collecting stories instead of souvenirs. Psychologists believe that exploring new environments can stimulate curiosity, challenge the brain, and create lasting memories because every journey offers something unexpected. Maybe that's why the smell of an airport, the sound of a train arriving, or the sight of an open road can fill some people with excitement before the trip has even begun. And let's be honest, every travel lover has confidently packed just the essentials, then somehow needed an extra bag for all the things they bought along the way. Maybe being a hodophile isn't about running away from home. Maybe it's about feeling most alive while discovering what the world has to offer. So tell me, if you could wake up anywhere on Earth tomorrow morning, where would it be? And do you think you're a hodophile? Let me know in the comments. Autophile. Does the idea of spending an entire day by yourself sound peaceful instead of lonely? While some people can't stand being alone for even a few minutes, you might actually look forward to those quiet moments, a walk with no destination, a cafe table for one, or simply sitting in your room with your thoughts can feel like a luxury rather than a punishment. If that sounds familiar, you might be what people often call an autophile, someone who genuinely enjoys their own company. But here's the interesting part. Enjoying solitude isn't the same as feeling lonely. Psychologists make a clear distinction between the two. Loneliness is the distress of wanting connection but not having it, while solitude can be a chosen state that gives many people time to recharge, reflect, and be creative. That's why some writers, artists, and deep thinkers intentionally seek quiet moments, away from the noise of everyday life. And let's be honest, every autophile has canceled plans, wrapped themselves in a blanket, and thought, "Yep, staying home was definitely the right decision." Maybe being an autophile doesn't mean you dislike people. Maybe it simply means you've discovered something many never do, that your own company can be just as meaningful as anyone else's. So tell me, do you recharge by being around people, or by spending time alone? And do you think you're an autophile? Let me know in the comments. Pluviophile. Why do some people rush to close the windows the moment it starts raining, while others can't wait to open them? If you're the kind of person who smiles at the sound of raindrops, loves the smell of wet earth, or secretly hopes the weather forecast says rain all day, then you might be what people often call a pluviophile, someone with a deep love for rain. But what is it about rain that makes some people feel so peaceful? Psychologists suggest that the gentle, predictable sound of rainfall can have a calming effect on the mind, helping many people relax and momentarily forget the stress of everyday life. Even the earthy scent after rain, known as petrichor, is something many people find comforting because it's closely linked with nature and pleasant memories. Maybe that's why reading a book by the window, sipping a warm cup of tea, or simply watching raindrops race down the glass feels oddly satisfying. And let's be honest, every pluviophile has looked outside during a heavy downpour and thought, "This is perfect," while everyone else was complaining about getting their shoes wet. Maybe being a pluviophile isn't about loving stormy weather. Maybe it's about finding beauty in moments that others try to avoid. Now I'm curious, what's the very first thing you like to do when it starts raining? And do you think you're a pluviophile? Tell me in the comments. So, did you recognize yourself in any of these files? Or maybe you're something completely different that we haven't explored yet. Don't worry, there are hundreds of fascinating words still waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you love learning fascinating words like these, hit the subscribe button. Now tell me in the comments, which file are you? Or what word should I explain next? See you in the next video.